Hey, if you're listening to this and you enjoy Watch Out for Fireballs, you may not know that we have covered many non Dark Souls games on Bonfireside Chat. These episodes function basically as extra episodes of Watch Out for Fireballs that you have access to, most likely.
Most likely, though they are chosen because they have some relation to Souls, FromSoft, or that particular style of game, there's going to be stuff there for you, even if you're not completely, submerged. So don't feel put off by the fact that they are Bonfireside Chat episodes. I think that everybody can get something out of the Hollow Knight episode that we did back in 2017, for example.
Yeah. For example, there are 27 of these.
Yeah.
So if you have run out of, and 13 of them are not behind the Patreon wall.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to hear us talk about, say, like you said, Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, basically games with Knight at the end, you can just for free. And if you're a patron, we have episodes on The Legend of Zelda and Ico, big games, and they live over at Bonfireside Chat. So if you're on the public feed, you have access to about half of those. If you are a patron, if you've gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, you have access to the other half. And there's just a lot there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
Please do.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about The Sexy Brutale, which is an adventure game developed by Cavalier Games and Tequila Works, and published by Tequila Works for the PC and consoles in 2017.
Yeah. And this episode was executive produced by Daniel. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get just a real quick disclaimer out there. I hate this game, and I'm going to be cruel to it. It will know my cruelty, but it does not reflect on Daniel.
No.
I really appreciate it. I've been curious about this since it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It got hugely good press when it came out. Like, there are a lot of why is no one talking about this? The masterpiece of 2017, YouTube thumbnails and the like. So I was always really curious about it. I really like the chance to play it, and honorable people can differ. This is it's very representative of a lot of things I don't like in games.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, just feel real meh about this, and kind of see it as a, let's say, less creative, less rigorous, but also less talky ghost trick. Basically.
It makes me terrified to go back to Ghost Trick. I remember liking Ghost Trick, and I fully believe that Ghost Trick is probably less simple.
Yeah.
Than this, but there's a really specific thing that this does that I think is something it's just a real, thorn under my nail in terms of video games.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about, we start talking about the basic play.
We'll enumerate kind of exactly where this falls down for us as we go along, and we can maybe diagnose if Ghost Trick will be right for you, but of course it won't, because it's so talky, Gary.
It's really talky.
You would be real put off by the visual novel sections of that.
I played it when it first came to iOS.
And
I remember, I don't feel very strongly about it, but I remember being like, oh, that was all right. But I think that I was also just, probably less sensitive to filler talk than I am now.
Yeah. So in this game, you play as a priest named Lafcadio. Does that sound right to you?
That's how I say it.
Yes, Lafcadio Boone, who has been invited to this masquerade party at an English casino mansion called the Sexy Brutale, so called because the owner thought it sounded dangerous and sophisticated.
It does. It's a really catchy name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this mansion is caught in a time loop, and the guests are dying over and over. So, this is an adventure game. You control your character top down. The idea is to solve these puzzles to save the guests. The puzzles are all the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, there's no real deduction that goes on. Pretty much what you are doing is incredibly mild stealth play in order to follow individual characters around to learn where they're going to be at individual times, and maybe incidentally overhear some crucial piece of dialogue or see them interact with something that is then unlocked for you to work with on future iterations.
Yeah, and this is the big area where there's two things this represents that I think are make for bad video games.
Yeah.
This is one of them. And it's basically, if you think about puzzles in terms of locks and keys, right? Mm-hmm. Like the puzzle is to do this and there's an object you need to do it. Video games suffer a lot, I think, from conservation of detail. This game does more than almost any other one I can think of, where there are so few things you can interact with. The thing you can interact with is necessarily the solution to the puzzle.
Yeah.
It is a game that puts you in a room with one lock and two keys. You try them both, and then when you get the right one, it gives you a big, really long cutscene with celebratory music.
Yeah.
And it happens 7 times, and then that's the end of the game. Like, no joke. Like, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but you are not kidding when you say there is no deduction.
Yeah.
You do not need to bring your brain to this. And I'm not like super puzzle smarty, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there are Steven sausage roll masters out there who have brains that are so much more like encoiled and complicated than my smooth ass brain.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be able to think a little bit. I don't want to be given like a one of those little plastic trays that kids have where it's like, here, use the zipper now to see how a button works.
Right.
That's how this feels to me. It feels like insulting if I could feel insulted, but more just like a waste of my time.
Yeah.
There's no game in this. There's absolutely no game in this.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, I got to the point where, like, I mean, I think a lot of these necessarily you need to do multiple runs, but like I would hit the solution and the person would be saved, and I would think, wait a minute, that's it. Like I thought I was just gathering. Oh, I thought that by pulling that lever, I would get more information, or I would like set up one half of something that maybe would pay off later. And like I need to do like a Rube Goldberg kind of approach to this for a game that concerned itself, narratively with this is a loop and people are dying over and over again. There is absolutely no causation. No. You are not messing with causality at all with this, not even like time travel causality, like setting up something so it will pay off later. Like there's not really any of that.
All of the causality is informational.
Yes.
Everything that deals with the time loop in this is you just having basically like precog abilities. You go through the loop of the day to see something. You've seen it, you followed one person throughout the day. You go through the loop and you follow the other person. Now that you know what they're going to do, it is obvious what you need to do on the third loop.
It's like Katana Zero, except instead of watching all of the possibilities for murdering everybody, it was all the possibilities for solving a Fisher-Price shape sorter.
All of the things you could possibly pick up.
Yeah.
It's maddening because I love the idea of a time loop is really compelling.
Extremely, yeah.
Well, and look at like Day of the Tentacle, right? Like you can do puzzles in this puzzles that deal with that kind of thing, or even something that's not very good, like Shadow of Memories.
Right.
Like that. I don't think that game is very good, but at the very least you plant a tree to stop, and then go into the future where it's grown and something's there.
Yeah.
This game isn't dealing with things on that level. It is so dumbed down.
Yeah.
And it's not unique to this. This is what I'm talking about when I get mad at like Zelda torch puzzles.
Yes.
You go in a room and there's 4 torches and you light all 4 torches and that's the puzzle. There are only 4 things that interact with that room. That's not a puzzle.
Yeah. It's a task.
It's a task. It's just keeping you busy. This is, Zelda games sometimes get above that in their puzzle design. This game does not.
No.
It drove me fucking up the wall. I kept expecting it to I was like, okay, they're just teaching me things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what are they teaching me? They're really just teaching me to stalk people around, but okay, maybe it's going to reveal itself, and it never does.
Yeah.
It is basically as easy at the end as it is at the beginning. And again, I am not a challenge fuck, seeker. I am not somebody who wants to, absolutely go into cognition mode, brain cortex edition, tournaments. I just want to have to be there for a video game, and this is essentially watching a let's play of it, even when you're playing it.
Yeah. At least let me walk, and, don't just let me like slide across a greased floor into Mr. Burns's office,
Yes.
like it's a real problem. Man, just so much of like, oh, that was it. And with
you can accidentally solve puzzles.
Uh-huh.
The second one with the security cameras.
Uh-huh.
Just did that on accident by like clicking things that I could interact with. Like I just like accidentally solved a puzzle. Like it's ludicrous.
And with a lack of rigor, or with a lack of, mechanical involvement, what we have to fall back on is style and story, which is fine, but also not enough. It's not sufficient.
That's the other thing that's like a personal, bugbear of mine in video games, is that this game presents really well.
Yes.
It looks neat. It has great music. It's a cool concept. It makes me feel like I'm being tricked.
Yeah.
For the other thing though, real quick before we move on from mechanics, because that stuff is really interesting, is that you do get new verbs in the game. Every single one of them is the worst Metroid upgrade, and by which I mean they're just a key. It's just so like I can walk up to something and examine it. Most of the time I get a line of flavor text that's nothing. Otherwise I can pick it up, that bam, sorted. That's the puzzle.
Yeah.
You get new powers every time you solve a murder, but it just allows you to click on more things.
Yes.
That's all it does. There's no expression in this game. There's no like, I have a new tool. What are the cool ways this could be used? It just allows more things to be clicked on.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, people, I reading reviews of this made me think I was losing my fucking mind. Like nobody was calling this out. Like everyone is just like, oh man, this is a hidden gem. Like this is one of the most stylish, sexy games of the year. This is fucking incredible. And I'm like, did you play it? Like, just throwing myself out the window at the top floor of a bank.
Yeah,
setting myself on fire.
Like as you save each individual person, like you get to like the fifth or the sixth one, and then like just you're sitting in a tub that's emptying. Like no. Oh, there's so little time left for this to like deliver on it.
Yeah, this can't be.
Yeah,
like. You never get to the fireworks factory in this game, and it ends with a huge explosion.
It does.
And you never get to a fire. Yeah, you never get to the fireworks factory.
Yeah. So when you save guests, you don't like release them from the loop. You just gain their power, which is just terrible upgrades.
If there was a perfect loop thing, where you had to save everybody, then at least there would be some like order of operations or time management.
Yes.
Like how do I come up with the most efficient route through this mansion that I've spent the game trying to get to know to save everyone?
Yeah.
And that would be a video game.
No,
it doesn't do
exclusive.
That though.
Yeah.
You just save everybody once and then you move on to a new section of the mansion that's cordoned off for this specific murder. It doesn't even matter that the mansion's big. It's basically like every level is 5 to 9 rooms that are just for that murder, half of which are filled up with fucking collectibles.
Yep.
Like Nintendo 64 coins you can pick up.
Yeah. 52 playing cards and invitations and all that. Yeah.
So fired up.
There's a stealth. Speaking of being fired up, there's a stealth element to this where you cannot be in the same room as any other guests or staff members. Their masks will fly off. Time will freeze, and the mask will come and hit you. You have a ridiculous amount of time to vacate to the point where
out,
like,
and they don't pursue.
Right.
You get a special power. They don't pursue you. So like, imagine any stealth game where all you have to do is Grandpa Simpson back out the door.
No, not even back out the door. Just like, oh, those people are in that room. It's a small room. I can get to the other side before the meter drains.
Yeah. If Grandpa Simpson just went into the Maison Derriere,
watched the
some
show,
strippers, and then went left out, and he was fine. Bart never noticed him. Like that's a really stretched metaphor, but I'm so curious. But it just there's no consequence to it.
Yeah.
You just walk away. I don't know why there's stealth elements in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're going to be looking through keyholes. Sometimes you're only going to be able to see like one part as you like one part of the room, so you may not see who is speaking at a given moment. As you look at stuff, you gain information about where people will be at that particular time, and you can cast forward and back in your map to kind of follow routes along, stuff like that. All of that information that you get stays with you across cycles, including things like at one point you have to like learn the combination for a security pad, stuff like that.
They do a lot of tricky things to make things that could be physical objects carry over, down to the ludicrous situation of learning the recipe for a key. Basically, like after the thing, like it wouldn't make any sense for you to have the key across time cycles, but I don't know, you learn how to make the key.
Yeah,
it's a magic doodad, but it's basically making a key.
Yeah, you also get the world's most magic lighter that will stay with you across
for some reason or another. The day is 12 hours long in this thing, and it passes 9 minutes of real time. You can jump around a little bit, basically just to save yourself some tedium. Jump to 4 or 8 p.m. and you can sync yourself to different clocks in the mansion, which will be your restart point.
Right.
So there are a couple of little clock powers you have that basically just emulate basic functions of video games. Like it doesn't feel like you're having cool time mastery. It just feels like this would just be a menu in another game.
Right. Yeah. And you really don't affect anything. Even when you do stuff, everything kind of proceeds like clockwork.
Yes. You're not having an effect on this world other than solving the murder.
Right.
Preventing the murder through that. You move really slowly, which you basically have to. You tunnel around here to keep pace with the game's events. And even though the mansion is very big, I didn't sit down and count. I wanted to take a map. If I wanted to wager, I would wager like $10 or something that 2/3 of the room either have nothing in them. Like they're just there to pass through, or they have just a collectible in them.
Yeah.
At least 2/3.
Maybe a thing to look at for a dialogue box worth of little world
like
detail kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like flavor, like pass through rooms or collectible rooms are at least 2/3 of the game. So the mansion is big, but to what end? But for why?
Nothing mechanical.
Yeah, nothing mechanical. Just a dollhouse of like, frankly, not particularly engaging like item description writing or anything. Like
the coolest thing was the library, where you saw like just a bunch of books that the developers liked, and I got to think for a second about how good of a short story The Mask by Robert W. Chambers is.
It's a great short story, but I'm not going to hoot and holler for recognizing something else I like in a game, Like, you must like, they said they know how to rock over in Salem, Oregon, but we know you know how to rock in Portland, Oregon. I like that already.
Talk about how many one-way streets we have.
Yeah. Not going to do that. Not going to hand it to these guys for having okay taste in books.
No. So on to aesthetics, because frankly that's all that this really has going for it a lot of the way, and it's super stylized. I like that everything is like chunky and cute looking. Even
the way you move, the animation and everything, it reminds me of Luigi's Mansion.
Oh yeah, well, especially the dollhouse kind of aspect to it. Yeah,
like that's really striking. And I think the soundtrack is actually great.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Really, really good. Fun jazz, not like necessarily anything can happen jazz, but kind of like party jazz.
Yeah, it's like Dixie, somewhere between like Dixieland and like big band kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah, it's good. Like I think the soundtrack to this is legitimately good. It has that thing where I suspect a game reviewed really well because it looks and sounds good.
Yes,
and looks and sounds unique, which this does.
something really cool that happens is because the world is so deterministic, because everything happens at particular times, the soundtrack and just the sounds of things happening are all coordinated. So you'll hear like gunshots.
Yeah.
You will hear like, you know, the bell ring, which is tied to one of the murders, stuff like that throughout. So you eventually get like a pretty good sense of like the order of things that happen.
Yes.
Even more so than looking at the clock and saying like, oh yeah, it must be 8 because I heard the bell ring, kind of stuff.
Yeah. Again, it would be really cool if you had to use that information.
Yes.
To like do a perfect loop or something. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it does fit in with the music in a well, like pretty well. Like there's a jazz band, and then New Joe is over there on the organ, like breaking plates and shooting guns and stuff.
Yeah.
That works pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
The writing in this, like I didn't really like reading any of the item descriptions, partly because I realized what I was doing was clicking through them to find the thing that was interactable.
Yeah.
You know, dialogue, it's all fine, but nothing was very like delicious to me. Yeah. Nothing felt like snappy or good. It all happens very slowly. You can't skip through a lot of it because it is dealing with this real time.
Yes.
Bit, which is a problem in a time loop game where you might watch the same murder happen multiple times.
Right.
This is on display right from the beginning, right in the tutorial, where you watch the same scene happen multiple times.
Yeah.
With very slow dialogue, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I don't understand what it's doing artistically. You know, I want to give the developer of this credit for making that choice intentionally, but I don't know to what end that choice is.
Well, I mean, just I don't know. There ought to be like after you've seen something, do like a visual novel skip, where like, okay, I've already seen this, because like you're not always using that time to go and do stuff. Like the skip isn't mandatory, but if you just need to, okay, I've already seen this, I need to wait for them to leave that room. Well, okay, press the button and then there you go.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah. You have a magic stopwatch.
Yeah,
like I don't know why you can't set things in fast forward and slow motion. As opposed to just jumping to 4:9. Here, I'm going to say something that's going to blow minds. This game would be better as a visual novel. Like I don't like visual novels. I think that this would be better as such, though. Like the actual existing in a spaceness of this doesn't add anything. Yeah, and just being able to be a little bit faster and looser with time in that way, like a little bit more abstract, would make the whole thing feel a lot less frictiony. Yeah, I think.
You know, that is fucking crazy. I'm going to do whatever test you do to see if somebody is a Skrull, which I understand is a thing that somebody can be where they're not themselves. Okay,
yeah, there we go. What a shapeshifter is.
I know what a shapeshifter is, but what has that got something to do with what was it, Captain America guy, the Nazi Skrull,
Red Skull?
Yeah,
no, that's Skull.
Oh,
they spell and pronounce their names differently.
Well, they spell and pronounce their names pretty fucking similarly,
they're
dude.
Similarly,
they're called,
okay. But it's still differently.
Oh, God. It's pretty much exactly the fucking same.
No, there's an R.
I know there's an R.
I'm so mad at Sexy Brutale. It's just a body snatcher.
Okay. All right. So I used it correctly. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It would be a better, I think it'd be a better product. I still wouldn't play it with your hands.
Right.
Like in your time, you know, but it's a better product. We're going to get into the actual plot stuff of this a little bit here. So take this with a grain of salt. Like I've drawn my line in the sand. I don't think that anybody needs to play this. If you're at all interested, if you are going to glean any joy from this game, it is going to be from the plot.
Yes.
And so if you think that you will enjoy this at all, then, you know, beware.
Yes.
Because we're going to spoil that throughout.
Yeah, we're going to spoil it throughout. Like I got stuff to say, Gary.
I am frustrated by the plot. We are again in the Silent Hill, somebody torturing themselves for Eternity Zone.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I'm so sick of it. Still, they're not in a realm, but they may as well be in a realm.
No, they're
I mean, it's a realm of sorts. Yeah. I mean, it's a realm based on a real place.
Yes.
You know, but it's somebody's in a realm because they're torturing themselves out of guilt. And that is a dead trope.
Yeah.
At this point.
No, thank you.
Yeah. It's just been used so many times and so much better.
So this is a collaboration between two studios, the UK-based Cavalier Games and Tequila Works out of Spain. Tequila Works had developed some cool stuff for this. You ever played Deadlight?
I did actually.
Yeah.
That's the side-scrolling zombie,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's you're trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic zombie.
Yeah, it's like a cinematic platformer kind of deal.
Yeah. I played that and remember liking it
Mm-hmm.
on the Xbox 360 along with Radiskulls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cavalier was a new studio as of the time they made this, made up of ex-Lionhead people, which really shows in the writing here, actually.
Yeah.
And I guess prior to this, they had only the only thing that they had been attached to was a remake of Shadow of the Beast, the Psygnosis platformer that we covered. One of them that we covered on Abject Suffering. That's the one where just like one of the world states, it's like a real surreal kind of violent kind of game, but one of the world states was just there's an eyeball storm ambiently happening.
The remake of it is very funny. I'm looking at up stuff about that now. I don't know why you would remake that game.
No,
and what it makes tons of sense, not just with that writing, but again, this being a game where it looks good and sounds good, and that's what we got.
Yeah, and a concept is presented but not delivered on. Oh boy, that is Lionhead to a T.
Yeah, but is this a Double Fine game? Like it basically the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
very Lionhead. So the concept was brought up by Cavalier, as announced during the production of Tequila Works' long-awaited game Rime. If people remember Rime,
the eco-like,
yeah.
And the developers, they cite the entire laundry list of time loop media as inspirations for this. And by reading interviews, the writing process for this was incredibly difficult because they kind of neglected to realize that they shouldn't get other people on the hook before they have everything figured out, like what's going to happen when. Because if you're setting up a big mansion where everything is happening at once, you kind of need to write it that way.
Yeah. Like write the day's story.
Yeah,
and stuff. And I'm not, like I said, I intend to show this game my cruelty. I don't intend to show the devs my cruelty. Like that's hard.
Right. Yeah.
Like I understand that this is. I can imagine this being a thing where the scope got away.
Yes.
And this being, landing short, but they were throwing maybe for a little bit further than that, and they just had to make a lot of compromises.
Yeah.
If you look at their inspirations, they're all significantly more audacious works. Like even things like Groundhog Day, which is a simple movie, but it's a classic for a reason.
Yeah,
and it codifies a lot of the cool time loop ideas, none of which are on display here.
Right.
So I could imagine a world in which they wanted to do cooler stuff with the mechanics and puzzles and plot of this.
Yeah.
And did not.
Yeah. Just there are all kinds of compromises that we are not privy to as critics.
Yeah. In terms of, like Metacritic, this is just high 70s. So well reviewed. In terms of anecdotally, like when I look around, there are a lot of people who are pretty hyperbolic about how good this game is. There's like a James Stephanie Sterling, like this game is fucking brilliant. There's a lot of like YouTube, why is no one talking about this? This is the sleeper hit of 2017. A lot of that's YouTube thumbnail shit. I get that.
Yeah.
There's some exaggeration there, but it is a well-loved game. Pretty well reviewed, but it feels like anecdotally like people dig it.
Yeah.
And that is what was making me feel like, I don't belong on this world.
Yeah. Just kind of thudded for us where it's saying for others. And that's weird.
Yes. I don't know what they're seeing in it. And I've read some of those reviews and watched some of those videos, and it really does come down to aesthetics. And it just, it's something, we just recently did a live panel. We talked about this, but it's something that's been floating around my head is that charm is non-transferable. Like I've gone from thinking of it as a weasel word in describing games. Like it's real. Charm is real, but it's non-transferable. So if you're just very charmed by something like, hey, this is little cute guys and it's got this fun soundtrack, I just feel like I'm having fun. The game is signaling to me that I'm in a fun zone and fun is happening and it's working on me. That's not something that you can express to someone else.
Right.
And expect it to land like at the same conversion rate.
Yeah.
Because like, I agree that those things are cute in this. It's cute. It's just not it's barely a video game.
Yeah, it would be great if it was cute and I was also doing anything.
Yeah, Porque no los dos, like Luigi's Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of games do both. I don't think this is cuter than Luigi's Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And Luigi's Mansion has like little fun gameplay challenges and stuff in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always makes me feel crazy that I imagine somebody being like, you're demanding too much. Like it can be enough that you just had a pleasant time with something and it moved time forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really feel like I'm not asking for very much when it comes to, the art form that we've dedicated our life to. Like, no, this should use the medium as something. Mm-hmm. It's the minimum. It's not, a tall ask.
Yeah. And I mean, and here's where we get around to it. Ghost Trick had puzzles. You were, I mean, kind of doing an incredible machine thing, trying to figure out how to control physical objects to make the right thing happen. Yeah, no, Ghost Trick has more than this for basically the same concept, which is you have 4 minutes to save this person's life.
I remember that, like from playing it, that there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
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 I don't know how well this sold.
Yeah. No data for that. Couldn't find anything. Cavalier doesn't seem to have moved on to do any other stuff. Whereas Tequila Works, they had put out Rhyme, long awaited game that came out. They also weirdly did the Groundhog Day VR game, which I think is PSVR exclusive, which is weird as hell. And then they worked on Guilt, that one Stadia exclusive game.
Yeah. Fathers, lock up your Stadias. Guilt's on the way. Yeah, I don't know what Guilt is. I was not paying attention.
Yeah, action RPG kind of deal.
Oh, yeah, sure. I did not manage to pick up a Stadia. I couldn't get through the queues. So
everybody was clamoring for these Stadias.
Yeah, Stadia fever struck the nation, and I luckily stayed home and masked up. So I did not get caught by Stadia fever. I hung out with my Uzo or whatever the fuck they're called. Ouya. I just hung out with my
Ouya. You were just at home drinking a bottle of Uzo.
Yeah, Uzo was playing my Ouya, saying "Oorah."
Some words sound like the others.
Some scroll. The some at one PAX I went to, there was like a thing where they were giving out Ouyas, and we missed it. Like, but they gave us like an Ouya battery or something.
Okay.
And I very distinctly remember like throwing it out. I just feel like, fuck this. Or an Ouya, like some kind of accessory. Ouya accessory. It's just like, I don't know. It's bleak. I don't want to say that nobody should try to enter the hardware market, but it's not going well for the last like 10 people I can think of that tried.
I mean, that was a very specifically scammy kind of deal.
Yeah.
You can do worse than looking up like YouTube histories of what happened with the Ouya. My favorite thing. So it had a famously just really bad controller, just really awkward or whatever. And I just remember in like one of the documentaries that Ouya itself put out about like the design process, because it was like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something like that. They had this whole section on the controller and just like, oh man, we designed this to be, to maximally fit the human hands. And they showed the prototype, which was just somebody carving it out of a block of wood. Just this really big, just big blocky thing. It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of done carving this. I don't want to cut away any more wood. Here you go.
That onion thing where it's like enterprising father carves PS4 or builds PS4 for son.
That's why your robot doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You can't build a robot. Be a robot. So big Ouya vibes to the Stadia. But we're not here to complain about the Stadia. We're here to complain about Sexy Brutale, which begins with a prologue.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. The owner of the Sexy Brutale, the Marquis, holds this extravagant masked ball. But this year things have gone horribly wrong, and you have all the time in the world to figure out what that is.
Yeah. This haunted woman who looks like a Ringu lady covered in blood kind of
Mm-hmm.
deal. She approaches Lafcadio, his unconscious body, and he gives you a mask saying, I will help you, but he is so strong.
Yes.
The ultimate antagonist of this.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Yeah.
English majors, look out. You go through the tutorial following, teaching how to follow this guy named Reginald. You follow him around, breaks into a safe. He curses somebody named Lucas. We catch over to watch the assailant, or move over to watch the assailant, looking through the chapel. This is the first time we're going to see this chapel shooting of like the 3 or 4 times you're going to see it during the tutorial.
Yeah.
We can't see who it is.
No.
Our vision is blocked by the keyhole.
Yeah.
There, but somebody has shot Reginald.
Yeah. Shot Reginald as he was poking around back by the altar there. So we wake up in a different room. This is the room where the assailant, who we see as one of the staff members of the mansion, is wearing this gas mask marked 2, and then there is a like a card suite symbol on it. This is where he gets the gun.
Yeah. He starts approaching us and we flee. This is teaching us about this. We go to the next room. The haunted woman says, nobody can see you when you have the mask on. They're not going to, and no one will pursue you.
Yeah.
So basically, like, don't worry. We're going to pretend to be a stealth game, but there's not actually any of that in the game.
Yeah.
It's like a third thing that's told you in the game.
Right.
All the staff are murderers. The guests are all victims, but all of them are controlled by the mask that they wear.
Yes. Yeah, kind of also setting up why they are locked in the same in the same patterns.
Yes.
Right. And she gives us kind of our primary tool that lets us engage with the loop, which is this broken pocket watch saying, hey, you need to save Reginald so that he can fix this for you so you can use all of its powers.
That's so funny. Like it's like a training wheels thing. Like, you are not ready for the full power of this stopwatch. We have to ease you into this gameplay mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And like the upgrade you get is ludicrous. So we have to follow them. So it basically sets the loop of the game.
Yes.
Which is you follow the victims and you follow the murderer.
Mm-hmm.
And you get all of their little incidental dialogue and stuff, but you're basically just watching to see what they do and where they go to overhear codes and see things like this first tutorial where Reginald roots through this safe. It has all this trash in it, but a blank bullet, just freestanding. It's not in a box or anything, falls out.
Yeah.
It's the one thing you can interact with.
Yeah. And you think, okay, well, by its existence, there has to be, okay, yeah, I'll just put this in and then that'll solve it. And it acts like that's going to be not the solution, but no, it is.
It is. Because, like, I was thinking, right. Like, so I was thinking, Shadow of Destiny again. Right. So you put the blank in, you grab the blank, you wait for him to leave, you grab the blank, you put it in the gun, bada bing. And I was like, okay, he's going to try to fire the blank. It's not going to work. He's going to go to a backup method. Then I have to solve the backup method. And the game is me doing the blank and trying to do the backup method and like time management as I do these things. But instead he fires the blank, and then cycles to the next round, which isn't a blank, to shoot, but he doesn't get the shot off. Reginald throws a candlestick at him. Bam, you did it. I didn't do anything. Like, but I did it. You know?
Yeah. And the solutions don't get much more involved than that. And because of that, this is not going to be a very long episode, because each of these individual, kind of saving things, we're going to talk about the area and we're going to talk about what the ultimate solution is, because there's basically no other way to do it. And it doesn't present any complication for you to like think through.
No.
There is no like flow chart of decisions that you are making that needs to be represented here. It is what's it asking you to do, and then you do it.
And no like chewing on a puzzle, right? Like old adventure games, one of the joys of an old adventure game is to hit a wall and then go at it for a little while and then go do something else. Yeah. And then come back and figure it out instantly. That step is skipped. Like there's a really damning ratio in this game, and I don't know what to like. I feel like this is probably illustrative of other things, but I beat this a long time ago. We went and did Midwest Gaming Classic, in between last time I recorded and now. I went and looked at a long play of this. The long play of it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Right.
like 2.5 hours, right? The speed run of it is like an hour and 15 minutes, which just goes to show you how much unskippable,
yeah,
like, dialogue there is in it. That ratio, like a 1-to-2 speed run to long play ratio, is one of the more damning things I think you can have in a game. It means that the game is very, very simple if you're actually playing it. And if you're trying to do it as quick as possible, there's so much unskippable stuff.
Yeah.
That you cannot do. So yeah, this sets the tone. I was really expecting, I was like, okay, this is for people who, this is really just kind of easing me in. It's really not.
Yeah. The other thing that this is kind of a misconception that I had before I realized that the stealth had no consequences. I really like the idea of being in a space that you were not supposed to be in and using predictable enemy behavior to like, feel like you are kind of avoiding. Basically, what I'm saying is I thought this was going to feel a little bit like Maniac Mansion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which would be cool. But again, if a guy
not.
sees you, they get controlled by a mask force, so they don't retain that information.
No,
you have been enchanted by a witch's spell, so you just run away, and then they forget.
Yeah,
huge missed opportunity.
Yeah,
like you've something recently you've been saying neither fish nor fowl lately a lot, and that's what this is.
Yeah,
it's not a stealth game, it's not a puzzle game, but it also fails to not be a third thing.
Or if it fails to be a third thing.
Yeah. So Reginald realizes, it's silly, he still has his mask on. He takes it off so he can see and recognize you, fixes the watch. So now the watch can go past 5 p.m. and we can set our spawn point at any ticking clock in the mansion.
Right.
This is presented as a cool empowerment thing. It's not. It's just basic game functionality.
Yeah. It's also setting it so you are setting an expectation that this is going to be a much more open experience. Like, hey, now you've got the mansion open to you.
You got the whole day.
Go forward, and the whole day.
You don't.
That doesn't add up to much. Like what
each murderer like gates off the next section of the mansion.
Yeah,
basically. So because the bounding box of powers you get from murders is just a key, it basically will allow you into the next set of 5 to 9 rooms that are the stage of the next murder.
Right.
You almost never have to cross over. Like once you leave this first opening area with the chapel, you never need to come back.
Yeah.
Every area is a self-contained instance little, like I want to say puzzle chamber, but there's no puzzle. Little dollhouse.
And also there's no, like, you'll occasionally see somebody on their way to go to their own murder or something like that. That is not information that you need to retain or revisit. That is almost like a little Easter egg.
Yep. Just the murderer that's on the table is the only thing you need to care about.
Yeah. So you are confined to those 5 or so rooms, and, all the information that is there relates specifically to the murder that you are trying to solve.
Yes. No crossover.
Yeah.
The haunted woman tells us to take Reginald's mask, and when we do, we can set any clock in the house to advance to 4 or 8 p.m.
A welcome power. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, convenience.
Yeah.
But it's something that releases tedium. It's not useful.
Right.
It's not a puzzle object or a puzzle key. She says that she's going to find you again in the casino near the clock. You should help as many guests as possible. And the house begins to shake, and we rewind till noon, back to noon.
Yeah. And we wake up in the Great Hall, and we see one of the staff members, number 2 there, walk up the second floor. Something that's weird about this is, so if you are in the same room, but on a different level, the other people cannot see you.
No, yeah.
Which is real funny. So, like, oh, he's standing above me and kind of looking in my direction. Can't see me.
It's all justified by the end twist.
Yes.
This is a mindscape.
Right.
A guiltscape. But it ends up feeling real silly and artificial when you think what's happening is literal.
Yeah.
The Blood Lady says there are 2 guests here, Trinity and Clay. We had to save the 2 of them together. Their fates are intertwined. Yeah. And she gives you a key that you use to wind up the clocks. When you do this, it reveals the map of the area.
Yeah.
So it's a tower, basically.
Yeah. So Clay, he's like a big tough guy, fighter kind of dude. He's wearing a luchador mask. Trinity is a blind sculptor.
Yep.
who was wearing this butterfly / moth mask. The fact that Trinity is blind does not really factor in,
Yes.
because she goes to her room and then is there until you save her.
It plays into her power.
Yes.
It's the key that you get when you unlock her. Clay sits at a blackjack table, getting drunker and drunker. He's playing against a robotic Grim Reaper who tries to warn him about Trinity. And if we wait until 11 p.m., he takes a victory shot and dies of poison. That's how he dies. Yeah. And you spend a day following him. I mean, you would. I short circuited this puzzle because you can solve it on accident very easily.
Yep.
Trinity wanders away from Clay, is waiting in the butterfly conservatory, thinking that he's arranging a romantic surprise rather than just drinking, until 8 p.m. a body comes through the chute and she gets freaked out, and then a spider comes down the chute. She gets caught in a spider web. Yeah, there are giant spiders about. It's because she's a moth, because we're in a guiltscape.
Right. Yeah. I laughed out loud when a giant spider came down. I was like, is that mechanical? Is that a mechanical spider? No, just a giant spider.
Well, then the next one where there's like fucking ghosts. There's weird like ghost curses and stuff. Like, it's a real just throw it in.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Which is fine.
Well, it's fine. But one of the cool things you could do about this is at least have, like, when I think about the Sexy Brutale, I don't want a source book of it.
Right.
Like if this had cool rules and a cool world building kind of mythology, it would feel like not only do the mechanics feel like they don't matter, but the narrative stuff doesn't feel like it matters because it's all in the imagination and anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's a weird way of like how unlimited a possibilities with no bounding box. I said like Mario for some reason, unlimited possibilities with no bounding box can feel lazy.
Yeah.
Cause like, why not have a spider do it? I don't know. There's nothing, there's no fun, like why.
Right. And like, Gigantics. This world can be a wacky, magical world where there are gigantic spiders and ghosts and voodoo fish who can possess people. But like the track needs to be laid, I think, as opposed to just like a little kid telling a story, and then
that's the perfect.
And then there was a huge spider because she's a moth, you see. Yeah.
Earlier, I said that this could be like a Double Fine game because I associate Double Fine with like fun style and absolutely vapid substance. But a Double Fine game would at least be that stuff would be there.
Yeah.
Like these characters would be charismatic.
Yeah.
And I cannot stress enough, they're really not. Like I'm not very invested in Clay and Trinity.
No.
Like they're kind of positioned as outsized kind of characters, like very broad kind of fun characters, but they don't say or do anything funny.
Yeah.
There's not a spark to it, at least for me. And that's definitely a subjective thing, but
I mean, like there's not a spark, but also there's not an awful lot there, which is
there's not
like,
a lot of content.
There will be a little bio of the individual people, and it's not as big as you would want it to be. All of these people are the idle rich, right? Yes. There is a certain Knives Out kind of appeal to the kind of like, just goofy caricatures you could have in that kind of setup that is not really cashed in. Instead, they're all just basically a profession.
Imagine if they all had that kind of Knives Out despicableness and you were trying to murder them instead of save them, then there'd at least be a perverse glee to it. So the spider comes down and eats her. She struggles for a really long time. The spider eventually kills her. So what we have to do is find a way to show Clay what's happening. And before he drinks the poison shot, the way we do this is there's a code for the CCTV closed circuit television panels in a control room that looks at the casino where Clay is at. We turn the cameras on the conservatory to show him. This is what I did on accident. So I was still exploring, trying to watch the deaths, and just flipped the TV. And that
just maybe the camera is going to show you something you couldn't see, right?
Yeah. Or just it's an interactable object. You can't tell what an object is like a little prompt shows up telling you what you can click on for it, but it doesn't tell you what's going to happen when you click on it. Yeah. So I was just I was exploring. I was looking for puzzle elements and just solved the puzzle, short circuit it to it. Clay sees her in distress, rushes to go save her. The end.
The end.
I fucking did it. Congratulations, Gary. Like, Yahtzee.
You press the feeder bar. Here's a gamer treat.
Exactly. Like, and again, I don't need it to be like super hard. I'm not like a very challenge motivated gamer, but I do need to be there.
There needs
You
to
know,
be something. Yeah.
yeah. And this felt like this. I don't think there's any real difference in playing this game and watching a let's play of it.
Yeah.
Um,
So the power that you get, Trinity's mask gives you her sense of hearing. So occasionally, prior to this, there had been times where people were talking, but they were speaking, they're whispering. They were doing kind of, sort of voce kind of thing. So you have to, use this to see anything more than asterisks, right?
yes.
And this will reveal like a door code specifically, but also like individual characters. It's kind of revealed they all know that something's going on. They're all suspicious of the staff. They're all wondering where the marquee is. But yeah, it is entirely just flavor beyond getting the key. It's just a key.
It turns you into a phone freak.
Yes,
where you can hear a code, you can hear the touch tone and determine the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hearing element, you could do it before this as just to hear people walking around and stuff.
Yeah.
Which would be useful in a game with a stealth system.
Yeah.
Like early on, I was stopping at every door and listening at it, and it felt kind of tense because I was like, what if there's somebody walking around
in
there? I'll be fucked. That was before I realized I could walk in and be like, you go about your business.
Yeah. It also very clearly signals when the room you're in is about to get dangerous.
Yeah. They put something above the door. There's like a little fire.
Yeah, and your guy gets a little like fire particle effect around him, like showing like somebody's about to come in. You have 20 seconds to hide or get out of this room, and like that's a way that a loop can get botched, where you have to start again, but you just start again or get out of that room and find a way around it.
Yeah, you just walk away, try again, hide in a series of identical armoires. The haunted woman says like, hey, go to the guest rooms. You're going to find somebody fighting hard against this place's darkness.
Yeah.
And we enter into saving Willow Blue as a third chapter.
Yeah. To get up there, we have to use this code to get through a locked door and climb upstairs. And we find her, by the time I got there, I found her hanging dead from the bell of the clock tower.
Yeah. That's what you want, because she has to die. She has to die once in this loop.
Yes.
Because she leaves she has this bone key hung on her body that we need to pick up, and then we get the recipe for something called a hungry charm from her room, which is another key.
Mm-hmm. And this recipe carries over.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to like interact with particular fish. Like that's the decorating scheme up here. There are different fish in tanks all over the place in order to make one of these things. And we have to draw blood from those, and this will open up this strange door inside of a hidden passage to go into this large spider mechanism to find the rarest fish of all. It is this inside this incredibly large tank, and the fish that we see is very tiny.
Yes. And we see Willow seemingly talk to herself.
Yeah.
As she is being possessed. She accuses the fish of being the darkness. The fish overpowers her and talks her into hanging herself on the belfry. We stop this by using this hungry charm to get in there ahead of time and turn a valve on the tank to extinguish a candle.
Yes.
That's
prior to this, we had seen that there were these candles set on skulls all around. We've been unable to do anything with them. By putting this out, Willow is not able to actually see what's going on here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, you pressed one of the only buttons in the thing and solved it.
Yeah.
Again, you could do it on accident, just clicking on things. Once you solve her, she thanks you, bemoans how lonely and dark it feels with all these people around. And the haunted woman says, hey, take the mask. And I'm like, I fucking get it, dude.
Yeah.
You had to keep talking, telling me that. This allows us to see the ghost. So there are these kind of blue clouds that are around. There's a couple of places we couldn't get into before because it says there's a cold aura. Those are ghost things, and we now have the key.
Yes.
So we can get through that. And we can light voodoo candles and interact with them to talk to ghosts.
Right. When she lights it, we can see what she was actually talking to. What appeared to be the fish was actually just the visible kind of, doodad on the end of Grinmaw, this huge invisible angler fish, like a ghost fish kind of thing.
It was an evil fish, you see.
Yes.
At the end. Like there's just big evil voodoo fish that control your mind in this world. Why not? Because a kid's telling you a story.
Yeah, Grandma doesn't factor in to anything else that's happening.
No, this is not the source of the darkness here.
No.
I got the audacity of her telling you that. So now next we need to save Tequila Bell here. Now that we have this ghost ability, we can see what happens when Willow talks to Tequila, the singer. When we were following around, they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Originally it looked like Willow was just kind of speaking randomly to no one, but she's actually telling a ghost to stay away from her friend.
Right.
She wants to warn Tequila to stay away from the painting room.
Right. Dun, and then done. Tequila's the singer. Like over the PA, there's a voice that is talking about the big show that's coming up at 7 p.m. And we can follow her up to kind of the musical wing of this mansion. This was previously blocked off, and we can see that it was blocked off by ghosts that were waiting to see Tequila. And they stand aside when you talk to them. All you have to do is ask them like, "Hey, can you make way?"
Yeah. Would you please move? And that's the key that unlocks the yes door.
What's the password for the orgy?
Yeah, exactly. Orgy. We follow Tequila on our way to practice, where one of the staff of the gas mask has replaced Red, who's her ordinary pianist. Yeah. And he surprises her by playing a private song that she thought no one would know about. She sings it. And then when she hits the high note, though, the stained glass behind her shatters, cuts her up, and knocks her off the stage. And the killer follows her. She crawls into the dressing room and bleeds out and drops her down a chute that leads to the spider room. This was the body we saw that shocked Trinity into backing into the spider web by the gigantic spider.
Right. So we may have saved her in this one too.
I don't know. That would be weird. Like if we did. Yeah. These don't interface with each other.
Nope.
So we watched the victim, and now we need to watch the murderer.
Mm-hmm. So we can see him and see that he stays in the performance hall all day, except when he notices the sound coming from nearby. There's a record player in a room off to the left that somebody had left on.
Yes.
And we can change where he goes by taking the record and putting it into the phonograph machine in a storage closet that we can then lock behind him.
Yes. We grab the key off his piano and lock him in there. So when she shows up, when Tequila shows up, there's no pianist. She asks you to play along.
Yeah.
With her, which you can do. And then she leaves. She's okay.
Yes.
You did it.
We get it. And then the haunted woman shows up again. Hey, take her mask. Yeah.
I really understand at this point.
Yeah. No, I get it. I take their powers. It's cool. Sometimes there are two of them and you tell me which one to take.
Yeah. Like, what would I got if I got that luchador mask? You start suplexing the puzzles and stuff. This gives you her shattering voice, which allows you to shatter stained glass. And again, I cannot stress this enough. This is not a puzzle key.
No.
This is a access key.
Yeah. There's one door that you can open with this. Yes. That gets you to the end game. And throughout the mansion, we have seen these kind of stained glass, mosaic glass vases. Those just contain playing cards.
Yeah. And I just, the heartiest and loudest fuck you to that. Like, there are 52 collectibles in this game. So it doesn't give you a golden ending or anything. You just get an achievement. If you're that kind of person. And it does give you a reason to be in the rooms.
Yeah.
But it's not a very good reason to my mind. Like and again, like maybe you're motivated by collectibles. There's a little bit of puzzle of getting the invitation, which is the other collectible.
Yeah.
Usually you just get them once you watch them die. Like most of the time they just drop it, but sometimes they left it somewhere.
Yeah.
I say there's a little bit of puzzle. There's not really a puzzle, but sometimes it's not in the most obvious place.
Right.
Yes.
Two things about the playing cards. If you collect them all, you can get a suboptimal ending. Like you get the ending where your character falls back into his gambling addiction.
I see.
Yeah. And the other thing, apparently, like some of the playing cards are very difficult to get. They're like only available in like corner cases of particular, not just like loops, but like, you need to get into this area from this clock instead of this clock because of the rooms that are going to be available to you. Like that is where the challenge is, which is in getting all of those. To which I respond with a resounding fuck you.
Yeah, I just, and again, that's, I understand that's subjective. Some people really like collecting stuff.
Yeah.
For me, that is the lowest form of game interaction.
Yeah.
You know, big bummer. So we grab the mask. We can now go through stained glass windows. She has you shatter the glass, and it reveals the room behind the singer. This used to be the orchestra pit for the theater, and she shoves you down into the theater.
Yeah.
The blood woman.
And this guy in a gold skull mask, talks to us from the stage about how she, this haunted woman, thinks that she's protecting me, but she's overplayed her hand. Then he snaps his fingers and then binds me to a new clock. Says, "Oh, I'm going to go and deal with her and then come after you." So
Yeah.
we've seen we have seen the big bad. No prize for guessing which one this is. The one person we haven't seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're the plaything of these forces that are all just Jacob's ladder or ghost.
Yeah.
So we wake up in this theater lobby room and we get the vision of Red, who is a big guy, a gentle Goliath, and Grayson, who is a locksmith. And we need to save them both. There's a little bit of disappointment that how many of these people are together.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like, even if I were 100% in the pocket for this game, there's very little to do in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not like somebody who thinks about games in terms of length. Like I'm not, dollar to hour ratio is BS.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking like, oh, there are this many unique guests to save, there aren't.
Right.
A lot of them are the same puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So we have to save both of them at the same time. And they're poking around. They're in this theater section looking around for an egg. Because Grayson, as this locksmith, he has heard about this fantastic mechanical device called Moloch's egg.
Yes, it goes inside a pussy and brings it to unknown pleasures. I
was going to say, based on our previous experience, all that's in there is a golden robot bird that will kill everybody in your train car.
That will end World War I.
Yep.
It's the golden bird that will catch the bullet out of the air from Franz Ferdinand. I love that this show that's going to happen. It's going to be part of this escape artist. So like, what's the big show, Marky? Well, I don't know. There's going to be one song and then a guy's going to open an egg. That's the grandiose thing everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, he finds it up on this up on this stage, but it's a jigsaw trap. Kind of it shackles to his hands, and he is closed inside of this electrified cage, while this big array of spikes and swords, kind of above him, slowly kind of tick down to impale him from above.
Red loves him. Like Red can't do anything with the mechanism. He goes at some point, he tries to open up a thing or flip a switch. It doesn't work. This is important because we have to see what the switch looks like. Eventually he gets desperate. He tries to bend open the cage bars and gets electrocuted, and then Grayson gets skewered. So we've watched the victims.
Yes.
We go and we can grab this lighter from a safe that Grayson cracked. This is a key item that will not reset. This is a magic lighter. Because we can use it to talk to Ghost. We light a candle in the lobby and the Ghost says, "Hey, there's a secret circuit breaker specifically for the stage show." People keeping track, like it's literally you just use the only thing that you can do for someone to tell you what to do for the puzzle. You activate the circuit breaker and powers the deactivation switches, which need to be pulled at the same time.
Right.
So we watch Red and Grayson panic. When Red goes for the switch, we go for the other switch. Yeah. And you synchronize your watches, hit them at the same time.
And that's it. It deactivates the cage and the spikes. So you're able to kind of get in and then get the mask power.
Yep. Ba boom. Pick up the mask. You now have the light finger touch, so you can open padlocks. It's literally a key.
Yeah. And as far as I can remember, this just opens up. I think there are some doors that it opens up, maybe like one or two to get into the library area for the next little set. But mostly this is open chest to get playing
Yeah.
cards.
Yep. Collectibles.
Yeah.
So we open up this padlock trap door and go into the basement. There's a secret passage that takes us to a snake-themed bar. We're going to save Arum Runes and Thanos Garecki.
Yeah. Aurum Runus is a goldsmith, and Thanos Garecki, he's this old guy who is the architect for this mansion.
Yes. My dude's name is Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
With a lighter, we can reveal these ghosts and see that one is blocking the door to the left of the bar. And he asks for a password. So we go over to the library. We shatter this chandelier that drops a skull candle, which we can then light. And talking to the ghost reveals how to get into this secret passage, which takes us to the library clock. We can respawn there and start our next little bit of adventuring.
Right. So we follow Thanos, and Thanos is very worried about the staff killing him. And he, desperately wants to find Lucas, the host, the notional host of this party, and figures, hey, haven't found him anywhere else. He must be in the basement. The way to get down there is this elevator that I built, that is, inside this huge statue that looks kind of like a slot machine, that I made out of a converted furnace. And this is connected to all of these smaller statues that we have seen around. That will change which card suite symbol they show when you interact with them. It's not random. It just cycles through them.
Yes. Thanos thinks they all need to be set to spade, has Arum set the statues, but that's incorrect. The correct combination is actually hearts. For those keeping track, there are 4 suits.
And
even if you were brute forcing this...
So it's not even brute force. When you look at the big statue, you will see that though there are 4 small statues, there are 5 symbols. The first of the symbols is a big glowing green heart, and when you interact with the small statues, it will only glow green when you are on the heart. So it is literally giving you the everything is good to go, color and light. Yeah, the green light when you fire it up.
Even if it wasn't giving you that hint, even if you were brute forcing it, the possibility space is so small, with that.
The possibility space is endful.
Yeah, absolutely endful. The endful, the sequel to the endless.
So like the tricky part is that so there are 2 things. Like, this is the most involved task in the game, which is following Aurum around.
What's the finale?
Yeah,
the puzzle finale of the game, basically.
Yeah, you got to follow him around. Like, you have to learn the password in the steak bar, to get back to this room, and then you've got to change these. You've got to change the statues behind him. So it's the correct combination when they get there, so they don't get burned alive in this furnace, right?
Yes.
But when you get to the last one, you find that it is missing the arm that you need to pull. So you've got to, again, start a new loop, look around, and find out where the staff member has taken and hidden that arm, which is inside of a dumbwaiter in the dining room.
Yes, which you can either find out by following him or just clicking on the dumbwaiter. Yeah, it's one of the things you can click on. So we follow Arum here, learning that password to the club behind the bar, set each statue to heart, save them both. And we get Thanos' mask, which gives us the architect's insight, which grants me memories of certain spaces in the mansion when we visit them.
Yeah, just lore notes.
Yep, gives us some lore. The haunted woman says, hey, meet me in the basement. And the day ends, we go down the elevator and tune to the clock down there.
Right. And so we go down there and we meet her in this large room with a huge lock statue. She says, I know that there's a door hidden behind here, and whatever we are looking to find is behind that door. She needs to talk to the Marquis.
Yep. There are tubes running from this statue to other parts of the mansion. So we follow the tubes. We follow the first tube and get to this operating room with a robotic surgeon. Press the button in sequence to shut it down, revealing that the patient is a staff member whose gas mask is respirator is forcing them to stay alive. Yeah. Here. And the tube lights up.
Yeah. One of the other tubes leads to this jail cell that's in a hallway. The jail cell has this small tree growing from the floor. and there is a cocktail glass near a tub of water. This is the only puzzle that requires you to do multiple things across the different loops, which is you have to water this 3 times through these
Yes.
loops in order to make the tree grow, which powers up, that tube from the door.
Yes. I don't understand why that water transcends time, but it's
time water.
It's fine. Yeah, time water. Yeah, for the makers of life water and death water. I really want there to be death water, just as like a dare. The final bit is this underground graveyard. You need to place the correctly colored flowers on the right graves that bear the names of the guest. Some of the guests here, hinting that they've been dead all along.
Yeah. There are also some like weird rooms. Like there's one room that's like a big record player. And there's another one that is just a vortex of cards going into nothingness. Like there are indications down here that shit's not right.
Yeah. We're in a guildscape.
Yeah.
With all the tubes lit up, the statue opens. Inside, we find the Marquis held captive in a tank with these electrodes on him. Yeah. Mirrors around him are showing him the repeated murders of all of his friends, and his tears are filling up the tank. The haunted, he cried a river and drowned the whole world. This is the story of an Earl.
Yeah.
Cried a river and drowned the whole world.
Yay! That was really good, Gary.
Thank you. The haunted woman sees us and is absolutely horrified.
Yeah. Is being tortured, right? Yeah. And then the man in the gold mask comes by and explains, at least his part of the plot, which is that the gold skull guy has control over all of the, the time in the mansion, right? Mm-hmm. He freezes the time for everybody except me and him. For me, because I've got this, the special mask on, I can still move around. He says this Marquis is the source of his time powers. And all of this torture is necessary for the man in the gold mask to have his, complete control here.
Yes. He tries to freeze you again, but it just unfreezes the haunted woman because oopsie doodles, I guess.
Yeah.
She takes something offered by the Marquis, the sapphire tier ring, which gives you +2 defense if you're low on HP, and tells you to run. And the cycle resets. And we are now in the end game here.
Right.
Just about.
There's only one place that we can go that we haven't seen before. Yes. In the main hall, the back part of the main hall, there is a stained glass window that you can break open. And this gets you into this garden that is only accessible from there. It's like a big courtyard. And at the back of this garden is a very small, kind of modest house. And the front door will open. We could have gotten back here before, but we would not be able to get into this house without the sapphire tier ring, which opens up the lock.
Yes. We step through and we're the entryway of the mansion, but it's on fire. Dun, dun, dun. Travel through, backing up time occasionally to kind of get past the flames and beat them. Our goal is to get back to the little house in the garden. And we meet Eleanor, who is the Marquis' wife. She's pregante. And she notices that we have her and Lucas's ring. She exchanges it for the ruby heart ring.
We need to upgrade that.
Yeah, it's Zelda.
Yeah. And she says, I'll be waiting in this house for Lucas, / the Marquis, whenever he's ready to come and get me. Right. And then the bloody girl appears and explains that the mansion being on fire is the reality. All of the guests are dead for real. Not just, the murders are not happening. They have died long ago.
They're dead other ways.
Yes.
They're murdered in another way.
Yeah.
The man in the gold mask brought everyone back to torture them for eternity.
Right.
And she wants to set them free. Her uncle Reggie, so there's a Reginald, thinks that using the ring in the secret place will do this trick.
Right. Well, Reggie was the guy who gave us the pocket watch or fixed our pocket watch.
Yeah, Reginald.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. That's what I said.
You said a Reginald is in play, and I thought that you were implying a second Reginald.
Oh, you never go double Reg, dude.
So we have to take the ring to the spot where Orem died. That particular room. And to help us, she gives us the Eleanor's mask. The bloody woman gives us Eleanor's mask, which lets us mirror walk to fast travel at the end of the game for basically no reason or profit. Like it's just
to
a way to
collect
get
all the
around.
cards.
To collect all the cards. Yeah. Go, you walk through the mirrors.
Yeah.
But the upper hall of the place where Aurum and Thanos died, that'll get us back to the tutorial area, the part that's kind of been locked off to us.
Yes. Lafcadio walks through the mirror there into that chamber with the marquee. And the man in the gold mask talks about how you dutifully died with Reggie in the chapel for years. And then you started acting differently there. And he takes you around to show his point of view. He takes you around to all the murders and the operating room. Just one person survived the fire, and that's who's waiting for you behind the doors in the heaven and hell room.
Yeah.
With the elevator furnace.
Right. Again, no prizes for guessing who who survived this thing.
Yes.
Or who you are, or who the gold mask guy is.
What's happening at this point.
So you go through the doors there in the using the ruby heart ring and end up in the chapel area from the beginning of the game. And you go to the stained glass window behind the altar, the one that Reggie was going for when he was shot, and you use Tequila's power to shatter the glass, and then from there time stops. Like you've broken through into something different.
Yep. You step through, you meet the man with the golden mask in a room with a model of the mansion. He takes you inside the mansion's clock tower, where he's there, the bloody girl is there, and you're there. You look down on Lucas, and you're there to sentence him.
Yes.
And we're seeing what this is, which is the world's dumbest insurance fraud. Is the plot of this game.
Yeah. So he is finishing setting up these bombs, and we watch him go in and out of the room over the course of the day, talking to himself about his plan. He is going to get everybody out into the garden and then set off these bombs so that the mansion will burn down and all of his friends will be there. He will have an alibi and a bunch of witnesses. And he can claim his insurance money and start anew with Eleanor, because building this big party mansion was not necessarily the wisest investment.
Yeah. There are no human motivations.
No.
For this character. It's real weird that he built this huge party mansion with like a snake bar and, like all of these various, a death trap, all these dumb things that he built. And the idea is he's doing insurance fraud through bombs. As opposed through fire, and having all of his closest friends be witnesses when he maybe needed a witness.
Yep. Yeah,
it's just, I understand like criticizing the plot, like characters act dumb for plot reasons.
Yeah.
And characters are flawed, and that's what makes them interesting. This is too stupid.
You would only choose it this way if you wanted it to be a possibility that you would accidentally kill all of your friends.
Yes. It is working backwards. Like this has the stink to me of they came up with the concept for these murders, and then we're like, what could be a motivation? It feels like a game, like what answers could possibly fit versus what the answer is.
Yeah.
And they came up with one that could possibly fit, but it ends up just coming off as just like incredibly fucking dumb to me. There's no reason the bombs go off early that we can see. Like
it was just a mistake. Yeah.
It's just a mistake. Like it's just dumb happenstance. Like, I don't know, man.
It's what it was?
Immensely unsatisfying.
It was his incompetence. He even says it after he realizes, like, oh, I should have asked Reggie for help. Right.
Why did you try to set, like, that'd be like me saying, I'm going to burn my house down with bombs. Like, I don't know how to make bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he could ask Reggie for help, Reggie could have just been his witness and lied for him.
Yeah.
Like if that was a possibility, if he's like, I should have done that, that changes everything.
Well, maybe this is why he's torturing himself for eternity, because he realizes how dumb his plan was.
Oh, I'm so dumb. I hate that for a second.
I should have lied.
Yeah, I should have lied.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's wild what the dramatic conclusion of this is.
And again, just the way that my face sank when I realized we were in a realm.
Yeah, we're not. It's not very narratively satisfying.
Yeah,
a guy who is bad at setting up time bombs tries it anyway for really shitty insurance fraud and accidentally kills his friends.
Yeah,
and like, so should you feel guilty for that? Yeah. Is it a profound guilt? Not really. You fucking moron. Of course you did that. And also, I don't like any of these characters.
Yeah.
Like I'm not invested in him. I'm not invested in any of these people.
Yeah.
I'm not invested with Eleanor. Like, it's just impossible to care about these little goblins, these little squat 1x1s.
Yeah. So he notices the bomb's going off early and he leaps through the face of the clock, kind of jumping clear. He's injured, but he survives. He is the only person who survives this.
Yep.
And the gold masked man says, I've been keeping the mansion party going, but since Lafcadio has slipped his control, we're just going to give this priest the chance to decide if Lucas is worth saving.
Yes. So the one kind of puzzle I kind of like in the game,
yes,
is that you can sync with the time bomb.
Right.
So that requires deduction or like an intuitive leap. The time bomb has a clock attached to it.
Right. So
I can sync. I think that's actually pretty clever. I've been trashing this game. I hate this game. It's one of my least favorite things we've done for the show. I will give credit where it's due. That's a good idea.
Yeah. One good idea in this 4-hour game.
Yeah. And it's not an incredibly genius move or anything. It shouldn't be the finale. It shouldn't be the last intuitive leap you make in the game.
Yeah.
Doing this allows you to sync to that. So when you restart, you're in the bomb workshop.
Right.
And you can use the wire cutters to snip a wire. When Lucas goes to set it, he notices the cut wire and makes him notice that the time is set wrong, that he fucked up the time bomb.
Right. And the gold masked man will not accept the bomb not going off. He cannot forgive Lucas for killing everybody here. And then we get the big reveal. He takes off his mask, revealing that he is a younger version of Lucas. And then Lafcadio, our player character, takes off his mask, revealing that he is an older version of Lucas.
Yes.
We're both different aspects of him. And then we cut to the basement, this big tunnel where all of the staff members, were lining up above the tank room where actual, quote unquote, Lucas was. They all take off their masks and they are all different copies. They're time loop copies of Lucas.
Yes. Multiple Lucases. Inside the chamber, Eleanor, begs you to take the mask and use it to stop the main Lucas.
Yeah.
In the tank from torturing himself. It's been 40 years. Should he be in an eternal agony for this dumb mistake? The young Lucas says, hey, you could just restart the party and be with your friends forever.
Right.
We can live in a mind realm or we can forgive ourselves. It seems like stopping the loop is the good choice. That's what I did as well.
Yeah. If you don't stop the loop, you just go back. You just
you get to play more sexy Brutale.
Yeah.
You take the mask, copies of Lafcadio appear, go through the mirrors to halt the deaths in the mansion. And Eleanor says it's time to move on. We get this brief glimpse of Lafcadio in the real graveyard standing outside the crypt. Her crypt, mourning his friends.
Yeah.
It is positioned as a serious meditation on guilt and letting go and forgiving yourself, and is lit down by the fact that the thing you're forgiving yourself for is so monumentally stupid that it is unrelatable, even if I try to stretch my empathy as far as it could ever possibly go.
Right.
That is a good message. It's also Silent Hill 2, which does it 1,000 times. I mean, not strictly, but you know what I mean? Like, also plays in those spaces.
Yes.
And is a significantly stronger narrative with character and emotion and like relatable problems.
It's
pure magic voodoo fish.
It's weird because this forms a very strange. We're getting into summary thoughts here, which is fine because we're at the end. It's weird because this forms a very neat pairing with Ender Lilies, actually, which is games that just very confidently rely on a trope or a premise that has been so thoroughly explored by the foundational, by extremely foundational works, right?
Yeah.
Ender Lilies being, the Rotten Kingdom, overtaken by an undead curse that is kind of being held not really in check, but at least there is a certain placeholder aspect by this sainted figure. Here it is the psychological guilt realm, where, all of the devils are literally you doing violence to you over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. We've just been there before. And even more so, I think, than Ender Lilies, we've been there better.
Yes.
Like I was relatively cool on Ender Lilies, but
Mm-hmm.
that was before I got sexy brutaled. Like Ender Lilies is fun to play.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't think Ender Lilies is very good from a story standpoint. I think the level design is pretty crummy,
Mm-hmm.
but the actual mechanics of going around hitting things like feels
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
This doesn't have that. You know, it's 1/5 as long, you know, or 1/4 as long, which is kind of nice, but it's not. I just don't know why this exists.
Yeah.
I know that's a mean thing to say. Like, there's artistry on display in this, specifically in the visuals and music,
Mm-hmm.
but I cannot stress this enough. Like, it's not enough, and at least for me, it's never enough.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever, ever. Like, I never want to play a game that's just kind of pleasant to look at and listen to.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff out there. There's too many things competing for my attention. I would like to be enriched on more levels than that.
Yeah.
You know, and this is all subjective. I'm not bad mouthing Daniel if Daniel got more out of this,
Mm-hmm.
or any other critics. Like, I love James Stephanie Sterling. I think they're a great critic. But I just think that I need more. More.
Yeah. It just the very real experience, of sitting there playing the game and watching the possibility space just winnow down to nothing.
Yeah.
It's that sitting in the draining tub kind of feeling, right?
Yep.
Where it's just like, okay, is this going to add up to something? Am I, is it going to get more complicated than accidentally solving these puzzles? Like, yeah, kind of, but it'll be the last one you get before you get to another, like, literally one move puzzle that's kind of clever, but also is just part of the story climax. Yeah, I just, like, that speaks to the way that a very good presentation and concept can work against something. For a lot of folks, that can be enough. However, like, I don't know. I feel like it was setting up and selling something that it didn't actually deliver on, saying like, okay, yeah, this is kind of taking cues from Majora's Mask, like it's taking cues, and from this really good involved stuff, and then to boil down to as simply as it is, that makes the taste in your mouth all the more bitter when you see what it actually adds up to. And even more bitter when you watch the process of the adding up and see it come up short at every single milestone.
That Onion, like, terrible band, obviously doesn't listen to its influences. like headline.
Uh-huh.
And I cannot stress this enough. Like, presentation matters, but it's not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many games that have cool music and visuals, and then also manage to do more than that.
Mm-hmm. And this could have still been a modest product as well, with better kind of puzzle design and stuff.
Yeah. I would have been fine with that. Mm-hmm. It's already a modest product. It's a 4-hour like indie game.
Yeah. That's fine. Like, it's not its slightness that is that is a problem. There just needed to be, anything to it mechanically. Yeah.
There's like a Liz Rikerson, who is a games critic and games maker, had an essay recently about the California indie game scene. It's very long, but it's worth reading, I think. And one of the things she talks about is the movement towards indie games where it was one clever mechanic. And that was very dominant for a long time.
Yeah.
You think about your braid and what have you. And then now we have moved on to something that she calls like vibes-based games. And this to me is the ultimate vibes-based indie game. And that is my enemy.
Yeah.
If I am put on this earth to slay a god, it is the god of a game that is purely vibes-based.
Yeah.
Drove me nuts. I hated every second of this once I figured out what it was. Your mileage may vary. And we love you anyway, Daniel. I don't taste, again, honorable people can differ.
Yeah.
No accounting for taste. If you are listening to this and you are not a straight white cis man, and you have a project you'd like us to highlight, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. We're happy to do a shout out for those. We want to not pull the ladder up behind us. We've been very lucky. And if we can share that, we want to.
Yes. If you have thoughts about any of the games we are talking about this month, that deadline is the 15th. You have a couple of days. If you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, go to duckfeed.tv/contact. Those games are Ender Lilies, The Sexy Brutale, and The Quarry. And next month's games The deadline is May the 15th. Those games are Norco, The Bard's Tale, the original PC one, not the 2005 one.
Even though we are playing the remastered
Yes.
version, which has tons of quality of life improvements. In case you're put off on that, I poked at it a little bit. I haven't gone deep on it yet, but it feels more modern.
Cool. And the final one there is Super Mario Bowser's Fury. The Quarry and Bowser's Fury are the premium episodes for that month, which means that everybody gets the generalities, talk about mechanics and aesthetics and things like that. But the beat by beat section that goes to our lovely patrons.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got back from Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Check out Abstract Suffering 500 for a fun story about that.
Yeah.
But also, if we saw you there, if we met you there, hi. Thank you for coming and saying hi. If you came to our panel, we really appreciate it.
We do.
If you were not able to make it, we will be putting that panel out at some point in the relatively near future. So you can check that out. Feels really good to be back into doing live stuff. Like it was, other than, again, no spoilers for Abject Suffering 500. Other than the one big black mark on the weekend, it was a really fun weekend.
Yeah,
really good to be back.
And as the person who got hit by that big black mark, I can even say it was it was great. Like, I set my mind on just enjoying the task at hand, which was hanging out with people and spreading the word and all that.
Everybody's
and,
really nice.
God, so nice.
We've managed to luck into a very, very kind fandom. Like, and everybody we met, like, every time at the table, we literally just like, everybody's fucking nice.
Yeah.
This is great. And it's easy to forget because podcasting is kind of a solitary activity. Like, even though you're talking all the time, like we try to stay in touch with the community, but you don't really see the people who get it. Like the loudest voices are people yelling at you.
Yeah.
And we're both really sensitive to that because we're babies. And I admit, like, we're more sensitive to it than most people, or than, I don't know if that's true, but we're sensitive to it.
We're sensitive to it in a way that feels like an issue.
Yeah. And that could be our own guilt that either our own like weird problem that we're sensitive to it, or our weird problem that we think it's a problem that we're sensitive to it.
Yes.
One way or another, the problem is us, making that very clear. But this
is nobody else's mess but ours.
Yeah. This is nobody else's responsibility, but just running into a bunch of people and everything as a kind of an antidote to that felt great.
Yeah.
It is very, very humbling and just warm feelings all weekend of feeling like, the absolute dream job. Would not trade this for anything. And it's really sincere thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that's there. Good, very good note to end on. Big thanks to Gwen.
Thanking Gwen. Yeah.
Thank you, Gwen, our producer and editor, who, I mean,
She's
I don't know.
It.
Been killing it, and also, like, I mean, I can say this: first trip away since having her on, since having kind of any help on, man, made things so much easier. Thank you, Gwen.
Really relieving to have somebody watching the fort.
Yeah.
And if you're at a patron at the $10 level, we're recording the third Quack Stack.
Yes.
Pretty soon. That show has been a consistent delight, and she's great on it.
Yes.
So, and until next time, what should they watch out for, Cole?
Until next time, watch out for that incredibly obvious peril with an even more obvious solution.